Hey everybody, Ryan here with Ray's Latest, and today we're going to talk about some new updates to our current outfield room on the 40 man for 2026 with the addition of Cedric Mullins. And now, I know a lot of people will probably asking this question. We got our outfield guy that we've kind of been searching for this whole offseason at the beginning of it. Yes, but we already have a full 40 man roster, so there's got to be a move. And I'm intrigued to kind of think possibilities on who could get released from the 40 man, DFA'd or sent down or wherever, traded, who knows. But I would go to as far to say as I think we all know Aranda's safe, Lau's safe, Walls is safe, Carson Williams is safe, Caminera's safe. I would say that all three of our catchers are safe, including Fiducia and um, Dominic Keegan, that were just added from the Rule of Five to be protected. So I don't think he's not going anywhere, especially with the Rule of Five draft coming up here in a couple days. He's going to be on the 40 man. So that kind of just leaves the question mark in the room is it going to be one of our outfielders, which I would kind of linger to say yes, or maybe one of our lesser used bullpen arms that we kind of have on the that have kind of up and down between AAA, kind of back in the rotation for the relievers perspective. Now our current outfield room stands as Johnny DeLuca, Jake Fraley, Josh Lowe, Jake Mangum, Richie Palacios, Tristan Peters, Chandler Simpson, and Ryan Velati. And I don't think Lowe's going anywhere unless he gets traded somewhere, which I don't think that's going to happen. Chandler Simpson's not going anywhere, in my opinion. Mangum is not going anywhere, in my opinion. From a Rays front office perspective, and for fielding a team next year, I don't think those guys are going anywhere. And then obviously, Fraley just signed a contract last week, so he's not going anywhere. And that's what kind of leads me to this topic that I want to talk about is if we were to go with the trade route for getting rid of a player on our 40 man, would it be necessarily too crazy to say that Simpson and Mangum could get traded somewhere? And the reason why I say this is because they both had fantastic seasons from a contact perspective and an average and on base perspective. Any team in the Major League Baseball is going to want a player like that on their team. And with Simpson's speed and Mangum's bat to ball, and Mangum's more of a gap to gap power guy. He's not going to hit you a bunch of home runs, but he's going to hit doubles. He's going to hit triples. He's going to hit the ball in the gap. He's going to hit it hard on a line somewhere. And no team in the entire country and in Canada, obviously, is going to say no to the possibility of having one of those guys on their team regarding fits and everything of that nature. So I would be curious to see if they get shopped around, if they're not already being shopped around for a possible prospect haul. And when I say haul, I mean two prospects, maybe a prospect in cash consideration, something along those lines. I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't know if I'm more saying that from a fan perspective, and I love those guys, and they are everything I want from anybody in the Rays lineup is to just hit the ball and get on base, which they do at a very high clip, which has just been struggles for Rays, the bottom half of Rays lineups for I don't know how long. And so that's where it kind of leads me into maybe a Palacios or a Tristan Peters or a Johnny DeLuca, someone like that that's kind of just kicked to the curb by Mullins being added from the 40 man is kind of where I'm more leaning to. But I'm curious if you guys have any thoughts on possibility of Mangum and Simpson kind of being shipped to the side or shipped out to get something in return for them. But I don't see that happening. I can understand why it happens. Let me rephrase it that way. I can understand why they would do something like that. I just don't think that it is financially smart, and I don't think that from a longevity perspective, it is smart at all. Um, just from a fact that they're both on league minimum contracts, and they they still have 2 more years before they're even in arbitration. So it's one of those things like Caminero. When's the right time to sign him to an extension? Because you have 5 more years of control for that guy, and these guys all fall kind of into that same category. Is this is the best situation for the Rays? You have three very young talents. In Mangum's perspective, he's a little older, but from a major league perspective and in playing time and in league time, he was still a rookie last season. So it's one of those things where this is perfect situation for the Rays to not get rid of those guys because you have them under control for the next 5 years. Caminero, obviously, he's going to be arbitration beforehand. He's gonna get more money, and I think everybody knows that. And I think Simpson and Mangum are kind of trending that way too. Not necessarily too much money, but a couple $100,000 more than league minimum, I would say. But from anything the Rays have ever done in their financials and things of that nature, this is a perfect situation for them. And I just don't think from a front office perspective it would be smart, especially if they continue to perform at the level that they're performing at. And yes, you can say that they played amazing their rookie year. What if they had the sophomore slump and they're horrible? I think that's one of those bullets you're willing to take if that is the case because you're paying them $120,000. And I think any team in the league would be jumping at the butt to be in the situation where you are paying 300 hitters $820,000 a year. And if they keep it up, if they hit 280, that's fantastic. I mean, you're not paying them anything, and they're playing good baseball. And I don't think there's anything that you can kind of say that's going to make me think otherwise, that would be really bad on the front office to get rid of those two, unless they were kind of thinking that they're going to ship them out anyways and they want to get something for them after they had a great red-hot rookie year. So that's one of those things where I'm kind of interested to kind of see how the 40-man shapes up from there. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be anybody else but one of the outfielders on the list because there is so many. But I don't think any infielders are going anywhere. I don't think any catchers are going anywhere. I really don't think any starting pitchers are going anywhere because we still need to find a 4 and a 5. So I think from that perspective, it could be a bullpen guy. But we'll see kind of where they go from there. But kind of the next thing I kind of want to transition into is just kind of talking about answering a comment that I received a couple videos ago from I Love Legos 2000. I also love Legos, by the way. I have a Christmas advent calendar of Legos, and I'm really excited about that on day 4 now. Excited for day 5 tomorrow. Anyways, he says, I'm going to bite the bullet and say no to Zach Eflin, which after reading what he says even if he were to come back, he won't be the same person as he was when we first signed him. I completely agree. He has completely changed. And kind of like I said earlier, a couple episodes ago, I don't think that he will be greatly accepted back in Tampa after the remarks that he made when he left, which was kind of crazy for me to think of why he would say that. Literally like 4 days after he left, his first start, I think, in Baltimore, he immediately went to the reporters afterwards and said how bad Tampa Bay was from a fan perspective. So I don't know if he'll be greatly appreciated back. And then he says, I'd say go for Littell or Hauser. I agree from a stuff perspective and kind of a proven and more cheap options, even though we've let both of them go within the last 6 months. I do think that Littell's going to be more on the expensive side. He was fantastic in Cincinnati when he went there. I do think DFAing Hauser possibly could have been a front office move to try to get him back for less money. I'm curious kind of because both of them have kind of went through this whole free agent cycle and not signed anything. And I haven't heard anything about any of them on any rumor mills or anything of that nature other than the possibility of Tampa re-signing both of them. So I do kind of like where he's coming from on Hauser or Littell. I would agree. I do think that those two would be way better pickups than Eflin. And then he goes to say, I'm not too sure if Sean Murphy will come to the team. I would agree with that as well. I do think that he loves being in Tampa, or not Tampa, sorry, Atlanta. I do think with the emergence of Drake Baldwin, though, I do think that that's going to be kind of something to look at from an Atlanta perspective to kind of dump that contract somewhere with Baldwin being on a league minimum salary for the next 3, 4 years until he gets to arbitration and performing at a rookie of the year level. I don't think that we're going to see too many games from Murphy, but he's not a bad backup catcher by any means, and you need one of those, obviously. So I don't know if how the Braves are going to attack that with him being on such a difficult contract for a backup catcher. So I guess we'll kind of see from where he goes there, but I do kind of see where he's coming from, where I don't think that Tampa would be a landing spot for him. I think another organization would probably be a better fit, in my opinion, especially with our kind of backed up catching position right now that we're still trying to figure out. But then he goes along to say, to finish up, he said he hopes Brandon Hyde will serve as assistant GM alongside with Neander. I couldn't agree anymore. That guy knows what he's doing. He's been in the AL East for multiple years now. He's kind of vetted into the American League, especially the AL East. He's very familiar with how the Rays work. He's very familiar with how other teams in the East work, and I think that him being in an assistant GM role would be great. I think that he would be a great fit, and I think that whatever he brings to the table is going to be a plus, regardless in what capacity it is. But I do think, regardless of what he does, I think he's going to be a great fit for the organization. He brings a vast knowledge of baseball, which is you can't complain in any means. Anybody that knows what they're talking about and knows what they're doing, especially being in the AL East for so long, he was being successful. I think that he's gonna do great in whatever he gets told to do in the Rays organization. So, you guys, let me know what you guys think about kind of where our outfield situation stands and kind of any possibilities of moving up and down on the 40 man. And you guys have a great one.